yeah, do we want to go into the direction of mainly nine and have another Neverending Nine episode? Or, but the one of the things I was thinking of
Yeah,
literally right before this call is that like what we were talking about over texting with like the kind of like disbursement externalizing of each of the attachment centers. Nine
totally.
also has their its lines to six and three, you know.
Yeah, totally. I think that's kind of what is interesting about attachment. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's like an infinitely recursive quality. It's like, so yeah, let me just baseline foundations. I guess we have to start with first principles, right?
Yep.
Um, if we define attachment as taking the center that they're in, whether it's the body, the head, or the heart, taking that center and for your own self context, say I'm a three, you know, I'm expanding my heart center to envelop the entirety of reality. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
my context for my heart center.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mistaking any heart feelings that I get, any heart feelings that I get, even if they're coming from outside of me, I'm mistaking them from coming in from inside of me. And the same thing
Right.
goes for
Mm-hmm.
nine and for six. For six, it's in the head, which is trying to project a model of reality in order to predict the future or in order to understand something that is unknown about the present. Um, Six treats its head center as enveloping everything. So it thinks that anything could happen. The head center isn't real, it's imaginary, and anything can happen in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from. There's
Totally.
almost a kind of feeling like the future has already happened and it's just unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
I think sixes often forget that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, anyway, there's like this dispersal quality, and it's kind of
Right.
gaseous. It's kind of foggy. People often refer to nine as foggy, and it is. But I think
Mm-hmm.
six and three are foggy in their own centers.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, it just feels different because they feel more pointed when they're expressing it rather
right,
than the nine just feels has the whole disbursement feeling along with it.
right. So I think each attachment type is dispersing its own center,
Mm-hmm.
and it's dispersing their own sense of self in order to attempt to hold their own center. So their sense of self has to expand to include all of reality, which is impossible. So
But
you
we try
often start to
anyway.
see these weird things where you have to ignore certain parts of reality because you're overwhelmed. And that comes like nine is like shutting out everything, three is shutting out everything, six is shutting out everything because they have to pick and choose because they're so inundated with information in their
Mm-hmm.
center. They can't even find where they're at to like pinpoint to focus a sense of self, let alone use their center properly. Um, so yeah, not only is that happening for attachment, but they're also expanding their core center to envelop the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I'm a six, my body center, which is supposed to be sensing things and feeling my own boundaries and what I'm, you know, physically capable of doing, that's all happening in my head, you know. Or if I'm a nine, which I am, I'm often thinking about my sensations because my head center is somehow like a nested egg inside of my body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh yeah, and all of this was to say there's an infinitely recursive, like self-referential feel to each of
Mm-hmm.
these types where they're hyper diffuse, so it almost feels like they have no sense of self. But there's also like there's like an extreme narcissism in that they are everything. Even though their sense of self is so diffuse, it's invisible, it
Mm-hmm.
envelops all of reality. Um,
Right. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's my starting.
Yay! No, I agree, and that's the I think I remember when I first started feeling and understanding the difference between attachment and hexad. like one of the things I automatically thought of was like attachment feels as a concept, we don't have to necessarily say that attachment types, all of them are like this, but attachment in its form feels expansive, and hexad feels contracting. So it's like that move, it's like the Enneagram breathing in its own way of just like, it's expanding and contracting and expanding and contracting, which is like a natural cycle of anybody's, process, life, whatever. And I feel like with attachment types kind of being in this awkward stance of expanding but needing to contract, and obviously hexad are contracting and need to expand, but like with attachment it's especially can like you take on so much that isn't yours, and then I feel like there's such a pressure that attachment types then can have, because it's like they're aware of it but they're not at the same time, and it's it's like you develop so many like crossed wires of how to deal with that, which is why I think attachment is just never ending interesting. But then what's interesting too is that like hexads, they are also taking on stuff unconsciously that isn't theirs, but their coping mechanism for it is just so particular. Like it's not this wibbly wobbly thing. It's not this diffuseness like you're saying, like you're just kind of dispersing, like almost getting overwhelmed and then just dropping it, but then picking something up in like a self-righteous or like the superego, like Six's superego is such a coping mechanism for certain things, and like its own kind of inflation and yada yada yada, like it's that kind of thing. Like hexad has like a one trick that it does to cope and that's the thing that just keeps happening over and over again.
Totally. And like it works maybe 70% of the time, so why change it, right? Like
exactly.
I think it's the interesting thing about strategies for existence. Like the personality is a strategy and to exist. Like we have to have something, some framework in order to deal with being alive. And I think that's the scariest part about attempting to confront your own strategy, is it's the only thing keeping you productive and sane. Like if you unravel it, you lose track of the only architecture that you have. So I guess it's just about getting to a confident enough place in yourself to know, okay, I can exist in like a place without like knowing which way is up or down, for a little while. Hexad is interesting as opposed to attachment, because there's no diffuseness to hexad types, but they're also taken too far. They're just as dysfunctional when they're attempting to be able to function in reality. Like the frustration types, I don't know, my interpretation of it is that they're feeling their center at a really high degree, but at the baseline they just don't like how it feels. So they're trying to get out of it somehow. They're like, 4 is trying to get out of image. It's like, I don't want this. Like, get this away from me.
I'm 1 is trying image about not wanting this.
Right. Yeah, but they're buying back in. Yes, in order to like 1 is like this environment, this like sensation, like what I'm feeling in my body. I hate it. It sucks. So I'm going to remake my environment. And whether it's a social environment or a self-pres one, doesn't matter. It's like the act of trying to correct because you're frustrated always buys you back in.
Yeah.
But
totally.
Yeah. a good strategy has one condition, and it is to keep you alive and functional. There's no endpoints for any of these strategies. They're not here to make us happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're here to keep us alive. Like as a 9, I can, I can accidentally completely lose myself, my sense of self, my boundaries in almost like a religious way, an ecstatic way. I can do that to a television show. Like,
yes.
And
merge with the television show.
Yeah, and there's like an ecstatic quality to it.
Totally, yeah.
And it's it's the way I coped with being alive throughout, the 30 years I've been alive. I've been watching TV and playing video games the whole time. But at the same time, like, if I choose to, I can do that with anything. I can do that with another human being. I can do it with myself. I can do it with a tree. And even if I do it with a television show, if I'm not going to moralize it against myself.
Yeah.
Is that not beautiful? That I can take in this thing that was created, by, I can be like so engrossed. I'm thinking about, the dozens of people who worked on it and like their stories. And there's always this expansive quality. It's like, oh, I'm engaging with the thing in front of me.
Yep.
I
have always thought too with, 9s being body last. So they're kind of operating on this head-heart thing. Huh. Like that is where imagination lives. And there is a way that you experience sensation through imagination and like through the perception of other things, like that you can't have relationship, whether social or sexual, without some kind of fantasy in it, like it has, you have to be thinking of another person when they're not around and engaging with them imaginally. And so when we that's why 9s can be some of the most creative types, is because they engage with the world in an imaginative way, in a way where like their body becomes a body in the imaginal space and engages with things like that's a whole life that's happening. And then that can be where it could be to the neurotic degree where it's like I only live there and not like that place and this place of reality they're not the same thing. That's where I feel like it's the diffuseness of a 9 becomes depressed in its way, like it's depressing to not feel those two spaces aligned, and not to feel the type of magic and aliveness and desire in the disembodied place. Not sync up with the embodied place. Like that I think is one of the hardest things. And with 9s, and just I think I think you could see it the most easily in 9s, but then like the other attachment types have that journey as well, I think that's where the lines really can come in, is like, okay, now we're gonna need to start getting this triangle on the same page, like in order to like actually feel the aliveness in life the same way you would in that disembodied imaginal space.
Yeah, that's so well said. It's when you were describing that imaginal space, immediately my mind went to I forget the god's name in Hinduism, but it's the being that is sleeping in the lotus flower, that is dreaming the universe. That is like, it's basically implying that like, that's kind of cliche, but like all of us, we're all just parts of some larger thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is imaginal.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of that head-heart connection. It's numinous, the numinosity,
right,
that we are able to access. I think is pretty unique. To part, or to type 9. Something else that came up when you were saying that was, I think a big point of growth for 9 is, learning not only to stay in the physical or in the the imaginary,
mm-hmm.
but to feel the numinous in everything we sense, not only sense what we imagine. Like if I can take my hand and I can reach it out and touch something and feel like the grand echo of existence in that, I think that's like something pretty unique to the 9 experience as well. Yeah,
Totally.
Flipping that. Any sensation. And that I think is also, there's a lot of religions that do this too. I think it's what meditation kind of is attempting to achieve.
Right.
You're sensing yourself so deeply that you're digging into your own sensation so far that you are touching the spirit inside of yourself or in the world.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the upside to the diffuseness. And then the downside, is that depressive state where it's like, if I can lose myself so deeply in anything, and maybe this is just speaking as a DJ 9, anything is capable of being a drug. Like I'm capable of like seriously like turning my life upside down with anything, a relationship, anything strong enough to hold my attention that deeply. I can literally just like obliterate my whole life chasing that like all-encompassing feeling of being like, it just, I don't even know the word for it. I guess it's high, it's like losing myself.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that there's a way that, because we're talking so much about environment and the relationship with the environment, I feel like there's a way that 9s kind of try to, or only understand themselves through their environment.
Yeah.
Like their sense of self, whether they're image last or image second. I think like image, their line to the heart center does have that kind of like it diffuses to the heart and head center, where it's just like, especially in the heart, it's like my identity is my environment in a way. Like it gets dictated by my environment. It like gets defined. It gets I understand myself through my environment and what I'm doing there, the actions. I think that's also 3's assertiveness of like the things that I do determine my identity. Like there's so much that each center, also 6s, when they are reacting to something in the environment, and that determines their understanding of their map of reality or their choices or blah blah blah. Like there's a way that with each type it's like it's the center itself, like the things that are happening externally in that center, that defines me and and like my concept of self. And that's just like like even with you saying about treating something like a drug, like that's very specific. You have a 7 fix, right? And like also being a social type, there's a way that not having that self-pres boundary, or like you can merge easily.
That's very true.
Right. And so there's a bit of specificity with that 7 fix, that it's it needs to be up, right? Like there's a way that it's like I need the good stuff out of something. And I feel like even with that bit of specificity and directedness that 7 could bring, there's still the 9, like, and the environment dictates that, right? Like the environment is the authority that I'm like waxing and waning with, almost, you know. Like 9s are like lunar beings that just kind of like wax and wane with it. Like, and so I'm wondering, like, how would, like, what actually is then a 9 or an attachment type? Like, where do they connect to their actual sense of self that is not influenced by the external? Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, like, because it's not doing hexad stuff, you know. Like, I think it's definitely acknowledging that the contracting and the not attaching and the not considering of external things as a part of identity is like, that's there, but I don't think that it's doing the hexad thing, you know what I mean?
I do.
It's almost like attachment types sometimes try to completely like opt out of balancing for over fear of like not being able to hold one side or the other, which is why like hexad can just be the perfect shadow figures for attachment types, because they're like, whoa, they're way out of balance. Those guys. I'm not even gonna try. Like, I am. It's like I just hear it so much in the culture of just like how much attachment types project so easily onto hexad, because hexad just takes a fucking position, you know?
They're doing it.
And
they're just doing something.
They're just like, don't care if it's conscious or unconscious. It's just like, balance is of no concern. Almost. I would say they have their own subjective view of balance, but like,
that's true.
Yeah, the fact that it's just so much more all in on one thing. Even attachment types with hexad fixes can have that like complete, but like the core itself then is still struggling with that, like, what am I trying to balance? Like, what am I trying to how do I get to some kind of equilibrium in a way, you know? Like, I'm trying, it's like, you know, each attachment type, whether it's core 9, 3 and 6 have their lines to 9, it's like I'm really trying to get to some kind of harmonious equilibrium of self versus outer world, you know, like self versus other, and just the constant like policing of that process. I think too, attachment can really like it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels like they aren't, with going back to this idea of like stepping outside entirely, almost like trying not to opt in, like, can I just like opt out? Like, that creates its own like pinball machine of just like, how do I opt in? Do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? Like, it's a self-policing almost of each of the core types. I feel like 3, you don't see it as much externally, just because I feel like they don't allow you to. Like, you it's not a, exactly. It's not a value of personhood that it could be seen in such a raw way. Maybe unless they're a sexual 3 or something like that, I could maybe see that more likely to show that kind of uncertainty process, you know, of understanding self in the world. But I just, I feel like it's almost like attachment types just like try to opt out of life forever to, like, because they aren't sure like what it means to actually like opt in.
I mean, maybe this is, I think it's just attachment. Maybe it's all the types, but it seems like we're trying to find a solution for being alive. Like, That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Like, how do I do it? Like, how do I get it right so that I can stop? So I can just stop, you know? Um, and, and it's like,
But also
no,
not stop because I'm afraid to stop. I want to live forever, says certain attachment types too.
true,
I
yeah.
never want to die, please. We just scream.
I've never understood
until
that
we
as a
die.
side note. I don't get that at all.
I don't either. I feel like, yeah.
I want like, I want to be outside of this universe so bad. I'm like fully convinced that I'm in hell. Like I was born in hell. I'm being punished
Being
for
punished
something
until I die.
until I die, and then I'm like, then they're gonna, they're gonna evaluate if I suffered enough or something. Like, what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh yeah, attachment types. Like they, sorry. They feel like they're trying to find the optimal way to live, the optimal position. And I guess optimal is kind of a 3-ish word, 7-ish word. But it kind of feels that way. A lot of hexad types, because they take such a position, some of them will admit it more than others, but there is an acknowledgement of their steadfast quality in that they are like, typically like, oh yeah, like I'm not living the best way I could be. They're kind of more willing to say like, yeah, I'm being a piece of shit, but I don't care. This is what works. With 9, 6, and 3, there's a constant recalibrating of like, how do I do this right?
Right.
Maybe that's a 9-wing-1 thing to say, but like, how do I do this at all? Like, what am I doing? Like,
there's a recalibration.
There's a searching for answers.
Yeah, to some degree. Like, whether it's for whatever reason, like, I think that does depend on your wing. That depends on, I would go into your cognitive functions and stuff like that. I would go into your astrology chart. You could, whatever the fucking reason is. There's plenty of ways, excuses, but it is totally recalibrating. It's just like, going onto one side and being, is it this? Is it that? Am I doing, like, am I going to go this way? Am I going to go, is it right? Is it wrong? Is it what I want? Is it what I don't want? And like, that's, I think, a big thing for all 9s, regardless if it's 8-wing or 1-wing, is like, is it what I want or is it what I don't want? Do I want this? Do I not want this? What are my needs?
It's always a blend of both, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're always looking for like the optimal strategy that gets us exactly what we want and exactly avoids what we do not want. And we go through our lives trying innumerable things, and every single one of them is complicated, and they include good and bad. And so we are never fully satisfied with what we're doing. So we think we're doing it wrong. So we look for another solution. I don't know if there is one. There's no solution to being alive.
I think it's more so in the process of understanding or in relating to self and outer life. And that's why at least I always find myself in that position. Like, how can I just continue developing my relationship to myself and to life? And not have it with the strategy, the anxious strategy, like the autopilot strategy.
Yeah.
Like, how can I get it out of the autopilot? And I think sometimes, at least for me, it's by even understanding why the autopilot's going the way that it's going. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's where learning about Hexad and understanding it, on an intimate kind of level is like, oh, I don't have to do the attachment thing. Also, too, sexual instinct kind of level, because I'm sexual blind, is that like, and this is why I would be interested in like, how sexual types of attachment experience attachment too. But for me, it's also like, there are things that I just inherently have about myself, qualities, traits, energies. I can't move, you know what I mean? Like there's, you know, hexad overlap with sexual. It's like there are just immovable things about me, or untouchable things about me, that are not going to do the attachment opt-in, opt-out thing. And like I can't change them about myself. I'm going to remain unconscious about bajillions of things.
Yes.
I am not a fix-it project. Like I'm not a work in progress.
Yeah.
I am not a work in progress. Kind
Yeah,
of
you're
like
out of the
attitude.
oven. You've been born. Like you're done. It's over. Like you just have to live. You know.
Yeah, that like there are just certain parts of myself to be comfortable with, in just like that's what it is, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And like
Yes.
I'm not moving in some places at all.
Yeah, I think
There
it's
are parts of there are parts of me that don't want to move because they're just like essential parts of my being that I'm going to experience this lifetime.
Yeah, you have your essence, and that's immutable.
Right.
Yeah, there's a kind of an image in my mind, getting to that essence. I think doing it is it's aligning yourself, like attempting to align yourself with that dreamer in the lotus flower who is dreaming the universe, and realizing that that person is you with your own life. You're doing that. You're it's just happening, you know? And like, it is your essence as a human being. It is a fundamental quality of beingness, consciousness, that you experience at a deep level, and that you're capable of going infinitely deep or not at all. And I think it's kind of just the growing into that understanding, I think, is growing into acceptance of that. Just like, can I just accept that? Can I just be myself? And like,
and spend time with it, and spend time with how complicated it is, and how never ending it is.
Yeah. And it's like, can I be myself? I don't know. Maybe sometimes, not all the time.
What is myself?
Right. And like when you start questioning, like, what is that? What is that? Then you get to touch the complexity a little bit. And then you get to take those parts and like look at what they're made of, and look at what the things that it's made of is made of. And like, I think that is living, is like really playing with and discovering what life is, like the material of it, the texture of it. What does it feel like to be alive? What does it feel like to be asleep?
That's so true. Yeah.
How do you compare those two experiences?
When you're talking about acceptance, you do have to accept that part as well.
And you're going to be asleep all the time.
Yeah. I think that's where like the disbursement thing of each center of the attachment types, it's like where it can become kind of a liberating thing is when the coping strategy isn't so invested in one stance of that. You know, like I feel like for example, take like 6, that 6's, you know, take on all of the fucking maps of reality, all of the right and wrong ways you can be a human being, and all the right and wrong ways of positioning yourself and orienting to the outer world. And it can, you know, take on all of the rewards and the punishments of engaging with this world in the head center. And 6s, I think you can see it so clearly, their strategy for that is just, that reactivity, that super ego, the like moralizing quality, or the the reactive, just like fuck you kind of attitude, like that type of, like, it's taking such a strong stance. So you can see it grappling with, and it's like, as long as the 6 keeps taking a stance and like really just swinging itself into these different coping mechanisms for it, it's like you're not even enjoying like anything about reality anymore.
The point is, and like, it's so apparent with 6 because they're trying to orient to reality.
And their fear, right? They're dealing with fear. So it's like
I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on.
It's a response to uncertainty and fear.
And it's like, what if you just didn't know what was going on? What if you didn't know anything? What if you just stopped trying, man? Like,
what if that person is wrong and life is unfair and like, right? And
what? Either do something about it or don't, but don't hold on to that, you know?
Right.
Like, don't devolve into nihilistic passivity, nothing matters. But like, at the same time, what matters to you?
Right.
What matters to you? That's the only question that really matters when it comes to strategy. Like, yes, this is the strategy that works for life. This is all I have. The only tool I have in my toolbox is being a 9. But, do I have to use that tool?
Like it's a bad thing.
I mean, I do encompass all of reality, and I am the sleeper dreaming the universe. So is it that bad? I don't know. But do I want to use that tool or not? I don't have to all the time. I can choose to when it feels like it feels important to me.
I think that's where like, oh my God, like we need to have a whole episode on superego, because I just find superego so
I've always
fascinating.
I can't define it. I've tried to define it over and over again, and I don't know how to articulate what superego is doing.
Really?
Yeah.
The way that I would describe it is like, it is a disembodied authority that you are answering to constantly.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, 1s being superego, their authority is basically God, essentially, and it's a subjective God, and it's answering to only that subjective God. Whereas, like, 6's superego is a bit more of the mental authority figure kind of thing, of just like, I'm answering to some kind of authority, whether it's positive or negative. Usually I feel like 1s feel much more like God's their best friend and almost synonymous with themselves, and that's why it's like so confident. Whereas 6s, because the authorities, in like the mental space, it's kind of like I have more of like a child-parent dynamic with it, and so I can be like a really like defiant child to it, or I can be like a loyal child. Whereas
and
2,
if your whole headspace is encompassing all of reality, then all of reality is your superego. And I think that's why they can be so reactive towards things that don't make sense to an outsider. It's like, but it's because it feels that way to them.
I mean, like, I know a lot of like 9s with 6 fixes and 9-wing 1s with 6 fixes, and it's just like the superego of that 1 and 6 is just like so loud when it comes to topics of literally like anything happening in life. It's just like, we got to bring in the superego of like why I'm right about what I'm saying and this other person's wrong about what they're saying, like that kind of thing. Whereas,
I just can't imagine being that way.
7
a 9-1 with a 6 fix. I just, who would ever?
I don't know why this happens. Anyway,
this sounds terrible, in my opinion.
It is awful. I cry on behalf of all of us. But anyway, then 2's superego is like answering to their authority, their disembodied authority is more in the image space, and they're answering to some kind of image of goodness, and or image of delight, or image of exceptionalism, like depending on what it is. It's a very subjective, I mean, really technically superego is all subjective to the person, but it's always like a disembodied thing that, I mean, to me feels like it's either, if you answer to it, you're rewarded, and if you betray it, you're punished, you know. And for that to be your reality as either a superego core or having superego is so torturous. Like, it is so torturous, which is why, like, my own reckoning with that has been so, like, I mean, especially when it comes to the oneness, because I feel like with 6 in the headspace, like, I have to, like, I can move things around, and like, okay, that, I guess I could understand that. Like, 6 is already trying to understand so many different perspectives. So there's a way that 6 is in its superpower can be disembodied from it and be like, okay, I see that perspective, I can hold that one, you know, that kind of thing, and not take the stance, which is, I think, where, like, getting out of that strategy is a different strategy, but still, like, one that's much more light to bear, you know. Like, I'm not trying to bear a certain reactivity, but one superego as a body type, like, it can just, oh my god, like, to let go of feeling the sense of rightness or wrongness is, I think, like, much more difficult and, like, violent almost process, you know.
It feels like allowing sin, allowing evil to take root in the world.
Yes, you know? That's exactly like, what it is.
And, like, allowing that to be, and allowing that's how it sin. Feels for, I think, for one. And maybe 6 also, I guess, like, probably
to a degree.
Just like, can I just let it go?
Absolutely.
And that's hard. I mean, like, when everything is a moral conundrum, like, so much of philosophy is like that. As a side note, like Kierkegaard and stuff, we're just talking about, like, you know, what ifs, you know, what if this horrible moral conundrum happened? What's the right thing to do? And it's like
the right thing. I mean, that's where I really, like, see, I've always been a pretty firm believer in religion, like, religious nature is in everybody, regardless of if you're religious or not. Like, you have some kind of connection to a religious sense of I mean,
it's an organ of your psychic being.
That's a good way to put it. And so I think there is that, like, what I've noticed the most in myself and in others is when especially, like, attachment types, or, like, the superego is speaking or something like that, it's like, what God is this person answering to, and what like reality has this God set up for this person?
Yes.
And oftentimes it is like the people who take really strong stances are adhering to the dogma of that reality, and it's like in that sense, when they're doing that, it's like it is pretty much life or death if you adhere to it or if you don't. Which is where I do think, like, you know, I feel like when we're talking about attachment types, as we constantly do on this channel, because they're just infinitely interesting, I think we are often talking about, like, you know, your coworkers and, like, the random people you're running into that you have that you're friends with or something. But I think there is something to then the attachment types that are adhering to, like, a punishing God's dogma that might feel more hexad-y, because of that real strong coping mechanism of their strategy, you know, where I do think there's even the typical attachment type you're going to run into in the wild, isn't so easily movable. Like maybe they're, like we're saying, doing the opting in and opting out of life and trying to recalibrate their strategy. But in a way, it's like that recalibration over and over and over again becomes its own fixed thing, and they don't actually move. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't actually.
No, totally.
Yeah,
I do know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's this way that I think it can, sixes, whether it's for and actually like, I don't think it always has to necessarily do with morals, like morally good or whatever. It's the superego and reactivity can really, it can be just as subjective as one or two.
Absolutely.
But it is, like orienting to some kind of rule book, some kind of ideology, some kind of what, like you were saying, a way that either feels right or wrong in the head center, which is typically responding to some kind of fear. Like it's developing that mechanism, that strategy to evade that deep sense of fear and uncertainty. So it's like six can then cope by being overly certain, you know, like to react to something and allow itself to be overly certain. You know, the sixth thing of like, I'm not afraid, you know, like I'm not afraid, like I'm too big for fear, like that kind of. That is just like, oh my God, like you need to like declare the superego declaration of not being afraid. And I think, nines can have that as well. Like nines can almost have the...
I'm present. I'm so here right now. I've got a direct channel to the divine. What do you mean? I seem like I'm distracted or... Either
that, I would say that, or even like the heavy inertia that a nine can get into of just not moving in response to like being uncertain of life force, you know,
like I know who I am. I haven't moved position in 30 years. Like I know exactly what I want. No, I'm not going to do that.
They're Stop so talking stubborn. Yeah. The stubborn nine.
I know just what I want, and it's not that.
That's so perfect. I know like a bunch of like 60-year-old nines that I know just popped in my head as you were saying that. I'm like, oh my God, I know so many like older nines that just are so stubborn, that are just, exactly like, no, this is it. I'm not moving. I'm not moving at all.
It's so interesting. I have like a metaphor popping into my mind of like the personality. It's kind of like this like complicated, if we're going to use like a vehicle metaphor again, it's like this complicated vehicle that's kind of, you know, it's moving. The whole point of it is to like function, right? But weirdly, like when it's hyper controlled, like when you get really identified with your personality, it's kind of like being a pilot that can't see out of their windshield or something. They don't know where they're going. So they're scared that they're about to run into something. Like there's going to be a crisis any second. Say we're in a car. So they've got their foot pressed on the brake. They're like, we can't do anything. We have to sit right here. Maybe this is 9. Like something terrible might happen. I don't know. So we're gonna have to just like tense up and do this whole thing. Just like letting your foot off the gas or off the pedal, the brake, and realizing like you're just in a parked car, you know, like, or maybe, you know, it's kind of just about like the personality sometimes can feel like it's operating on contingencies it doesn't know are actually going to happen. Like a pilot that can't see where they're going. Like we just have to assume the worst thing is always going to happen. So we have to behave in this very rigid way. or else we are going to die,
Right.
or something terrible is going to happen. I'm going to go to school without my pants on or whatever, like,
Yeah.
or say something stupid. Like, yeah, that's my whole point.
It's almost, it's like, it's the way in which we're all doing that kind of rejection thing, where we're just like painting over reality what we think it is. Because I even think of like, not every type might be assuming the worst case scenario, but they're assuming something.
Right.
So like,
There's
you
always
might
an
have,
assumption.
yeah, that like even, a positive, like triple positive type, or say
Right.
like a Kyle, like 863, like they
That's
might
so
not be
true.
assuming the worst case scenario, but they're definitely assuming
Something.
something that is completely incongruent with actual reality, and therefore they continue to have their strategy work over and over and over again to the same, like, because they're assuming the same results. Like they're
Yes.
assuming like, okay, well, this is gonna happen, so gotta start up the gears and like make it, cater to that result constantly happening. And people are very unconscious of what that result usually is, obviously, or we wouldn't be doing it all the time. And that's where I think, like, going back to the whole attachment types being so diffuse, it's like the result is so murky a lot of the time. Like,
Yeah.
what could the
There's no
result?
way
It
of
could
knowing.
always change it. Yeah, it could be fear, it could be delight, it could be the world's awesome. Like, it could it could be like
Right.
so many different things that actually aren't at all what's going on. And it's like the process then becomes lost in just like a equation solution, and
Right.
yeah, rather than having it be more of a creative feeling of interacting with life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so well put. It's like, yeah, it's in the problem solving again.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
treating life as a problem to be solved
Yes, to be solved. Yeah.
kills that ability to just experience it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because yeah, when
And to
you
be
have
creative
something,
in it, to be
creative in it.
Yeah, because when you're creative, it's allowing the other thing, whether it's life, whether it's an instinctual relationship, or whether it's whatever that other thing is, life in general. It's like to be creative is to like allow spontaneity and unpredictability and like acknowledge that completely, and still trust that there's a way that things work that you don't have control over at all.
Yeah. Just being a person in a very large and complex world. Like
Yeah.
just allowing that to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's kind of sometimes about reframing your context as well. Like knowing, I guess this is very social. Thinking about like your social role too much can lead you to like a really rigid understanding of yourself and like what
Totally.
you have to do. Yeah, letting go of that, if that's your context. Like, oh, that's not me. I'm me. I can just be me. Or like, what if I am just a fuck up? Like, I can just be that. Like, I don't care. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess all of my solutions include not caring. Who cares?
Who cares if you're a fuck up? It's the very DJ.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Like,
No,
I'll
but I
just
think
chill.
there is something to just like, I mean, to me, it feels like not knowing that there's a purpose for external judgment. Like, there's a purpose behind, like, even considering a social role or an image, like an identity image center kind of image, or an orientation. Like there is a purpose to all of that. We're humans who we have preferences. Like we prefer.
I don't.
Like okay, nines never have preferences. That like, yeah, we definitely have things that we find more interesting, fascinating. Like I think, you know, seven is one of those. I think the head center in general, one of the most interesting positive things about head center and way of orienting is like we are drawn to fascinating things, like things that like really scratch an itch in the head center that just nothing else, no other orientation or thing could. That just, yeah, like that's just fascinating. And so it's like there are things that like the external judgment of all of those things is one thing that serves a purpose, but then like the internal sense of all the centers, like identity wise, orientation wise, like relating to reality and concepts within it, and like on the body level, and just like has too much involved with it, like that I'm not gonna just lay out, but like, you know, action, desire, you know, anger, individuation, blah blah blah, like all these things are also something so internal that like nobody else can judge, first off, will understand, second, and that you could not articulate in a way that would be up for any kind of judgment. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where like art comes in, that like art is not something people could really judge about you, you know, like it's because it's such a personal experience that says something personally to the soul level, that it's like like that space that I think like people try to access but have a hard time actually accessing and like finding valuable is, I think, where like the external stuff does not even touch, you know, it doesn't touch that part.
Absolutely.
Like where like role, that part of you has no label, no role, no need to prove in any kind of way, like I
totally get what you're saying.
No relatability. I would say that's like the archetypal 4-5 area, like not as types but archetypally the 4 and 5, you know, on the symbol nearing that void in the Enneagram symbol itself is like, that's a part that nobody sees, nobody relates to.
It's your direct channel to what is beyond the knowable, you know. And it is also unclaimable. Like it's also every person has this within them, but it's also something that is not theirs. It is something that has like it feels like it's been projected from like some higher space. At the same time, I think that's also where we are like selves are. I think that is us. I think we are that space. And all of this is just something we're experiencing right now. And it's one of those weird paradoxes where it's like it's nothingness, just void space, and it has no human component. It's kind of just this river that you can dip into. But also it is where your life essence comes from, and you are it. Like, I forget where we started with that one too, but I think that's a good point in and of itself.
I think so. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's it. That's the show, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks
Let's
for
end with a silent meditation. I kind of want to, like, every time we do like a social self-res 911 like cosmic fucking stardust episode, we should like end it like the typical like yoga.
Put your head over your heart.
Okay.
Your heart over your pelvis. And there's a string of teal blue light coming from the top of your head, connecting you to the dreamer that is dreaming the universe.
And you close your eyes and pretend
But you're the dreamer.
You're the dreamer on the lotus.
Because you are. I am.
Because you are.
Not you.
The entitlement of 9. You're not good enough to be the dreamer. You have too much badness.
I can only experience myself, so everything else must simply be an illusion. So.
Anyway. Namaste.
Yay. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thanks for coming to our sermon. We hope to see you next time. Don't forget, there's only a certain number of seats that are available in the yoga class this Sunday. So please,
if you have
pay the $200 up front.
Shoes, I'm going to invite you over to my compound and we can exit these vehicles and ascend. There's a limited number of spots, and if I could just have your bank account information.
God only likes a certain amount of us. God only likes a certain amount.